Welcome to another edition of Weather and Climate Chat with Monsoon Mike and Dr. Michael Davis, as I'm fiddling with my headphones here because I couldn't hear anything. There we go. Now I can hear everything. Live podcast at its finest. Dr. Davis, how are you today?
I'm doing pretty good. How about you?
I'm okay. We missed last week. I apologize for that. Had a bit of a family emergency, and then we were going to do it later in the week, and you had some issues to take care of on your end. So, we missed a week, but we'll try to keep this weekly, especially with so much going on. This has been really active.
Yeah, the tropics are giving us a lot to talk about these
days. The tropics are giving us a lot to talk about. Irma, of course, we don't have to really recap her too much. She did her damage. It could have been worse over Florida. She weakened a little bit.
Although when we were live 2 weeks ago, we were saying it was going to go up the east side or down the center of Florida. We were kind of discounting the western solution, and that's the one that actually happened. And that one model, the Navy, the NavGem, I think it's called, was actually liked that solution. So hey, I guess a blind squirrel gets a nut sometimes. And that's with the low pressures that was sitting over Mississippi and Alabama. Right. That was kind of pushing Irma further south and allowing it to stay on the western trajectory a little bit longer.
Another theory I heard from a meteorologist, and see what your thoughts are on this, is that she took a little bit more of a southern and western track, like you said, and with that southern and western track, she crossed a little bit of Cuba. And when she crossed a little bit of Cuba, she lost a little bit of steam and never really got back to a Category 5. And this one meteorologist, I think was either from AccuWeather or somewhere else, said that had she not crossed over Cuba, she likely would have been a Category 5 right into Florida.
Yeah, I could probably buy that argument, that because when you have the land interaction, you're going to be weakening the hurricane as it pretty much disrupts the circulation of that storm.
I just talked to my godfather in Hernando last night. He's like right here where I have the little cross, if you can see that over there. And he made it, and he's in a mobile home too, so he definitely took a chance not evacuating.
Yes, he did.
He had no power for a week, no phones for a week, no water for a week. So a lot of tree damage, a lot of carports damage, but his house made it through okay. But, again, it had some time to weaken by the time it got up to him. It had been over the land down here so far. So, he took a chance. I wouldn't recommend somebody do that, but there's still a lot of devastation around the Keys. I think Marathon is one town I heard that took a lot of damage. And
yep, the Keys are pretty much in bad shape at this point.
Right. All right, so Irma is passed. Right now, as we're recording this on, what is today's date? The 19th of September. We got a guy out there by the name of Jose, who, fortunately for us, really is only giving us some clouds, some wind, and down the shore, maybe some gusty showers and some very choppy seas. Stormwatch Sal, my comrade on Monsoon Mike's Weather Headquarters, is actually in Ocean City, Maryland, and was giving me some live reports this morning.
Nice.
And the waves, let's just say you would not want to go out in the ocean because it's pretty darn choppy out there.
No, you have some tropical storm watches that were up yesterday, which have now been upgraded to warnings, and you have hurricane warnings, which are further out to sea. So it's definitely not a good day to be down by the shore.
Looks like the closest Jose comes is, and that's not even really that close, is around Cape Cod-ish area. We're talking tomorrow afternoon. It could be some gusty showers and wind up in that area. But it's kind of an interesting track what Jose has done, because Jose's been messing around way out in the Atlantic for as far back as Irma time. And then he kind of just very slowly made it up the coast. And once he gets out to like Cape Cod, he kind of does almost like a loop-de-loop, as you can see here. He never just like totally escapes off to the northeast. He just kind of does this little loop-de-loop and then kind of just sort of dies out there over time. So what's with that wacky track with Jose?
We have a blocking pattern that's going to be in place, similar to what you might see with just regular synoptic meteorology of pretty much day-to-day weather. And we have a pretty strong high-pressure system that's sitting over the Canadian Maritime, Quebec, that area. And it's pretty much acting like a wall, preventing Jose from going anywhere.
So that's a good thing for us.
In theory, yes.
Yeah.
But as a result, it kind of meanders around out off the northeast coast of the U.S. for a couple days as a result. Normally, if you have a blocking pattern, say, in the wintertime, you can probably bet on there being significant snows in the eastern U.S. and northeast. That's where we start looking at things like the North Atlantic Oscillation, the NAO, and if it goes more negative, you're going to be having more blocking.
Okay. So Jose never really affects us other than maybe a shower later tonight. maybe some gusty winds, and that's really about it. That blocking pattern will pretty much keep our weather extremely quiet over the next 7 or so days, which is something we really haven't had much of this past summer, where we had a lot of rain. Looking at the models, it looks like we might go without a single drop of rain until next Wednesday, possibly.
Possibly, yeah.
Yeah, possibly.
It could be pretty dry for a while.
And warm. We're going to be well above normal temperature. I don't know if you want to say well above normal, but a good amount above normal temperatures.
Yes, because of that aforementioned high pressure system that's in the northeast, where you're going to be getting a lot more in the way of subsidence and air essentially warming as it gets pushed further to the surface.
Normal high this time of year is somewhere around 75-ish, would you say, Dr.
Yeah,
Davis?
mid-70s.
All right, and we could have some low 80s. I've seen maybe even some mid-80s this weekend. National Weather Service I've seen has been going a little aggressive with maybe some 83s, 84s around here, which would be a good 10 degrees above normal.
Yeah, and that's not completely out of the question. We can still get these spikes in temperatures even into October, I believe.
Oh, geez, October.
We've had 80-degree days in October.
More than 80. I think, what was it, like October 18th last year? I think, was it 83 or something? It was, I think.
Yeah, I think we also hit 90 once
we might have
last year.
So this is not that necessarily unusual, but if you like fall weather like I do, you're a little disappointed. However, in looking at the very long range, and you and I generally don't like to go too far out, it looks like we finally get into more of a fall-like pattern somewhere around next Thursday-ish.
So pretty much at the end of September.
Yeah, right at the end of September and getting into October, it looks like we got some cooler air moving in.
In my meteorology class yesterday, I was remarking it.
Yeah.
Looks like we're going to be dry for the rest of the month.
Pretty much, yeah, except for maybe some showers on Wednesday when
at the very tail end of September.
Yeah, which is, like I said, very unusual for the past few months when we've had so much rain. It is that front that is going to be coming in and cooling us back down in about 8 or 9 days. That should hopefully keep the other topic of our discussion. We have so many topics to discuss. Hurricane Maria off the coast. And Hurricane Maria, unfortunately, while she might spare the U.S., is not sparing Dominica, Virgin Islands, Puerto Rico. They're not sparing them too well. Talk a little bit about Maria and talk about the crazy transitional strengthening of storms this year. I mean, Maria this time yesterday was a Cat 2, Cat 3, and 12 hours.
She started as a Cat 1.
Cat 1?
Yesterday morning.
Okay.
And then by about 8 o'clock or so,
Cat 5.
Yesterday, it was a Cat 5.
And this happened with Irma also, where she just sort of exploded. What is with these storms this year that are just like they're almost like they're on steroids or something?
We've been having very warm temperatures in the Atlantic Ocean, into the Caribbean, and even up into the Gulf of Mexico. We saw Harvey intensify before making landfall too.
Right.
We've just been getting a lot in the way of warm water, unstable atmospheres that really help develop tropical activity. Mm-hmm. Now, the rapid intensification of cyclones is still something of a hot research topic, so scientists aren't exactly sure as to why some hurricanes undergo rapid intensification and others don't, but we can pretty much read the tea leaves that you're having a lot more in the way of explosiveness, more tinder for the fire, if you will, for actually developing these stronger type storms with the excess amount of energy that's going into the atmosphere, the higher amount of water vapor contained within the atmosphere, and potentially the risk of stronger winds and heavier rainfall.
Right. I just pulled up the National Hurricane Center, since that's, of course, the most trusted source for hurricane tracks and locations, and I hate to say it, but that is very ominous for Puerto Rico. It pretty much takes it dead on over Puerto Rico as a major hurricane.
Yes.
Yeah.
Puerto Rico is pretty much right in the crosshairs of Maria and is likely going to take a direct hit. They were fortunate that they were pretty much
spared
a little bit south of
Irma kind of went
the
up
main
here.
wrath of Irma, which went a little further north. But I don't think they're escaping from Maria this time around.
Unfortunately, and some little islands out here yesterday took horrible hit.
Guadeloupe, I know.
Guadeloupe, Dominica, these other little islands. They took some really hard hits last night. So our thoughts and prayers go out to those folks down there as they try to recover. And again, if you have any interests in Puerto Rico, you might want to tell those folks to prepare because that's one thing I heard about Dominica is that they really weren't. Obviously, it's a poorer country to begin with, but secondly, they just didn't really have a whole lot of time to prepare because that morning it was like, okay, we can handle a Cat 1 storm, and then 12 hours later, it's like, holy moly, this is a Cat 5.
Yes, the rapid intensification is definitely something that needs to get improved upon by the scientists and the research that's out there. And whenever it does happen, it can be quite terrifying, especially if you're facing a Category 5 hurricane that intensifies in a short period of time.
So everybody's favorite question now is what happens to Maria. Fortunately, it's looking like Florida's totally safe. Floridians, of course, are a little bit gun shy after what happened with Irma, and rightfully so. Looks like it's well out to sea. Yesterday, there was some solutions that maybe put it a little close to North Carolina, but you and I, and it looks like the National Hurricane Center, at least as far out as they're going now, are tending to favor more offshore.
Yes, the models pretty much have it staying offshore. Yesterday, there was that model that hinted at maybe a potential
outer banks
brush around the Outer Banks, but that seems to be becoming less and less favorable at this point.
And it's that blocking pattern and that front possibly that's coming through that's going to help that, would you say?
Yeah. And once that front comes through, it's going to be picking up Maria and pushing her out to sea.
So she flies out much quicker than Jose did, which kind of just sits around there.
Another interesting thing that may be happening, I believe, earlier in the week. Yeah. If you want to go back a little bit. Right about there.
Yeah.
When is this? Monday?
Yep.
With Jose kind of spinning out there.
Yeah, Jose's still
off the Cape by, 800 some odd miles or so?
Yeah.
And you have a big storm like Maria coming up from behind.
Right.
The two of them may interact.
I saw one.
And that is something that meteorologists call the Fujiwara effect.
I heard one meteorologist joke that it's almost like the storm square dancing a little bit.
Yeah, you can think of it that way, where essentially they are moving about each other as their inflows and outflows interact with each other.
Now, apparently that's more common to happen in the Pacific, I've heard.
Correct, yes.
But this year is no holds barred. Everything seems to be happening this year, so now we might see it in the Atlantic.
Yeah, and it depends on how, I guess, strong Jose wants to stay offshore. Right. Because it does look like it'll be undergoing some weakening as it's getting kind of pushed out into the colder waters of the North Atlantic.
Right. So, and again, Jose's been around for a while. We've had Jose floating around out there since way back Irma times, but we weren't really talking about him that much because everybody was focused on Irma, and Jose was out in areas that there really was nothing to worry about.
And some of the models did suggest that Jose was trying to come in when Irma was going up Florida. Yeah. But because of the sheer strength of Irma, Jose pretty much stayed offshore.
Okay.
And then finally started moving and then got blocked.
Right.
And now you're having Maria coming in, pushing Jose out of the way.
So it's been kind of model mayhem, models not knowing exactly what to think, and that's why it's all the important to that good meteorologists like you and the National Weather Service to try to analyze this, because the models are not perfect, and they're going to take the data a little bit differently every time.
Yeah, that's right. So you have to take each run pretty much with a grain of salt. Don't jump to conclusions like what we saw with Philly Mag, too.
Yeah, that was a little disappointing that a respectable news source did that. But, just to give you our listeners who might not know what we're talking about, they kind of implied that Jose was going toward New Jersey, scaring a couple people, and that was not true by any shape or form.
No.
Yeah, so... All right, well, you've got to get to meet with some of your students soon. Just to recap rather quickly, for us, clear sailing through... Probably the next time you and I meet, we might not have had a drop of rain since the time prior. Yeah, which is unusual for what we've had in the past couple months.
That's quite the possibility at this point, and maybe we'll have Maria hanging around.
Yeah, at that point we might know where Maria is going for sure by then. And of course, with 7 days out, that's a lot can still change. So. But and a return possibly of some fall weather, but not until the end of next week. So until then, enjoy a little bonus summer extension for now.
And do you think Lee's going to do anything?
Oh, we haven't even talked about Lee. I don't know. I don't even know where Lee is right now. I honestly have not looked at him that much.
Well, it did go down to a tropical depression at one point yesterday. I don't even think they
following
it anymore.
I don't think they don't even have a link on the. Yeah, they're talking about Jose Maria and some Pacific storms that I'm not even familiar with.
Norma and
Otis.
Otis.
Yeah, I'm not even familiar with them because we're so busy with this side of the world. But
Yep.
All right, Dr. Davis, thank you so much, and we'll see you again next week.
Sounds good.
Okay.